Hi, this is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this week's project of the week. Well, I got a great question in an email the other day about what if we want to do monograms and we would like to put a pretty border around it? How would we go about that? And this is a fantastic question because monogramming is very popular. So we want to look and see what kind of fun we can have with it. So I'm going to come over here to my text up here in the upper left hand corner, and I'm going to left mouse click, and I'm going to select the M for monogram. Now what this will do is when I left mouse click on screen, it will automatically do a monogram with the larger center letter and the two smaller initials. Of course, you can do a two-letter monogram as well, but this is the default because it's mostly assumed that that's how that will be done. And normally, of course, times change so much, the center letter is the letter of your last name, your first and your middle. Or if you're married, your husband's first initial and your first initial. That's classic monogramming. So let's talk about putting a nice border around this. Well, the first thing is I want to change the height of this. So, because I want this to be a nice size monogram, so I think I'm going to make it about a 1.5 inch tall monogram, and I'm going to apply that. Now, a lot of times you'd like this to be in the center of the screen if I'm going to use the grid to use drawing or anything. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter because when you save it on a jump drive and put it in your machine, it's automatically going to center in that hoop. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to come up to our Align tool, and you notice the only one that's available is the center to rulers because there's not several objects to work with. So now that I have centered this to rulers, it is text, so I can only treat it as text. But I want to treat it as a design because I want to do some stuff around it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use my select at the upper left hand corner, and now when I select this, even if I come into my sequence view, of course it is still text. However, if I want to break it up and use it a little different, I can click on the text, right mouse click, and say break up text. So I'm going to do that with this right now. I'm going to break up this text, and it may take a minute because it's got to look at all the components, break it up correctly, and it's going to break it up into the A, B, and C. So let's just give this a moment. And what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to use the text itself, the shape itself, to create a border for me. And then after that, I'll show you some other options. So now let's look at this. If I left mouse click on our plus sign, you'll see that I have an A, a B, and a C. So I'm going to select these and I'm going to group them together because I want the software to see one solid object, not three individuals. So I'm going to left mouse click, and now that I have grouped this, I'm going to come up to my Create Outlines tool. Now I'm going to left mouse click on it, and it's asking me what's the space away from the lettering you want, and I've got 1/4 inch. I might make it a little bit more. Let me make it 0.35 inches, and I only want one outline around it. So I'm going to say OK. So now this has exactly mocked my monogram. It's made a perfect outline around it. Now I can select that, and coming down here into my bottom left hand with my run tools, I could make that just a simple steel stitch, just a nice little, whoops, undo is my friend. I had selected everything. I just want to select the artwork. These other three, I had all the letters selected as well as the artwork, so it was turning everything into a steel. I just want that turned into a steel stitch. So there I am. I've got a nice little steel stitch around this if I wanted to put this on something. I could also come in here and I could make it a decorative stitch. And then I would come in here and adjust the pattern size so it would fit. Of course, we have lots of patterns to select from. I could come in here and let's say, I've got one that looks kind of, this one. Let's go with this 222. Now I'm going to apply this. Now notice it's got these little jagged edges. I'm going to make this a little bigger and apply. And then I think I'm going to go and ask it to alternate flipping it. So now each little, what would I call this? Triangle, arrowhead, is now going the opposite direction, just for fun. Okay, so let's delete this and let's look at something else I can do. Okay, let's come in here. Now, I'm a big one because I can't draw well, but let's do a couple of little things. Let's come in here to our line tool, and again, this is vector artwork, so again, we're working with artwork. And I'm going to left mouse click here, and I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to go to the center, left mouse click, and I'm going to come down this just the same distance here. I think that looks the same to me, and left mouse click. Now because I held my control key, I was telling it to curve. So now I'm going to right mouse click to turn this into a piece of artwork. So I will select just the artwork. I'm going to turn this into a nice little steel stitch. I'm going to right mouse click copy, right mouse click paste, and I am going to come up to the top and I'm going to flip that, mirror image it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to bring this down until I kind of like how they're crossed over. So I like that. Now I can bring it down a little more because I can see my A is touching. Oops, I don't want to reshape it. I just want to move it. So I can move that. Then I could hold down my control key, grab just the outline pieces and group them. Now I could come in here and select everything, all my items in my sequence view. Let's go up to our align and let's center the objects. So now our lettering is centered inside of there. Again, we could make this a decorative stitch. We could make it a bean or a half bean. Play with it. So let's select those. I'm going to select these and I'm going to delete them as well. Now here's something that I use a whole lot when I want to do stuff because since I don't draw. Now you can draw anything you want around this. Freehand it, manipulate an outline you already have. But I'm going to come up here to my custom shapes. And I'm going to come in and I might like a nice oval border. So I'm going to select this egg and I'm going to tell it to be an outline. I'm going to deselect the fill so I can see how my letters fit in it. It looks okay. I might make it a little smaller, not too much. There we go. Now I'm going to take this again. This is a piece of artwork, as you can see over in our sequence view. I have a piece of artwork, so it's just waiting for me to tell it to do something awesome. So I'm going to come down again into my run stitches, but this time I'm going to select my steel run. And I'm going to look at this steel run and I'm going to say, do my steel first. We're going to look at this two ways. Now I'm going to say, do the steel first. I'm going to come into the run stitch and instead of doing a single run, I'm going to come in and go to my motifs. Now again, I'm going to drop down and I think I'm going to pick this right here. And I might make my pattern size a little bit bigger, maybe 5. And I'm going to apply this. Now there is a really cute border around this with not much work. Now I could select this steel run again, and I'm going to come over here and say do the run first. So now the decorative stitch would be on the bottom and the steel stitch would be on the top, giving us a completely different look. So if we went ahead and embroidered that out, let's go ahead and make this a good color so we can see it well. And there, we can see that a little better. We can see that a little better. I'm going to select this and let's go ahead and 3D it. So you get, that's a really cute little border. So you could come in here and play with your decorative stitches and your steel to make a nice border. You've got all kinds of shapes in here you can play with. Now I picked the egg because I wanted an oval. I could put it in a flower. I could come in and diamond is a great one. Let's go ahead and let's select this. Let's go ahead and delete. Let's come into our shapes again. And let's go ahead and pick that diamond shape. Diamond shapes around our monograms look very nice. Let me deselect the fill. Let me apply. Now this diamond's a little bit big, so I'm going to bring that down. It's a little bit big. And again, I would just select everything on screen, all items, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it to center objects. So I've got my ABC or my monogram in the center of my diamond. And now again, I can go to my diamond. I could make it a simple steel stitch. Oh, again, I had it all selected. I apologize, but at least you know when that happens to you what happened. You had everything selected. There you go. So there's a diamond. If I wanted to reshape the diamond, let's undo this. Let's grab our diamond. And I could say, you know what, I want it a little bit skewed, my diamond here. I don't want it so perfectly diamond. So I'm going to grab this. Again, I would grab everything on the page. So I'm going to come up to all items with a left mouse click. Again, align, center, center. And now again, I can come in here and start playing with this. I really love the idea of the steel run because it gives us so many options. And in this, I can see, you know, I might actually want my letters bigger. Now, what's the problem? You notice it didn't come up as text. Even if I click on text, it's not going to come up as text again because I went to break up text. So all this sees is a design shaped like an ABC. So now if I wanted to make this a little bigger, I would go ahead to do proportionately, grab that corner handle. Any of the corners will reshape it proportionately. Now I'm going to select everything on screen. Again, I'm going to align my centers. So now it's lined up and I could go ahead and play. Now you've got your steel first and now you've got a run on top of it. But you can come in here and work with this, play, reshape. You don't have to be able to draw from the beginning. You can come in here and come up with shapes and reshape them to fit what you're looking for in a border. And again, you could freehand, you can come in here, you can draw, you can use the pen and you could draw yourself a border around something. Of course, we all know I can't draw, but that's okay. You get the idea. I'm going to close that shape. And now I could come in here and select this and create a satin stitch on it, a border. I could go pick a leaf. Here's a good idea. Let's get rid of this. You could go into designs you already have. So let's go into our library. Let's go into free monthly designs. And this just came to me. So I may have to look a couple places to see if I can find me a nice leaf. Let's go back to my library. Let's go to October 2016. Usually we have leaves around October, November, September, somewhere in the fall. Let's look at a September because these are all free. So you have these designs in here. They got early with Halloween that year. Let's go here. Oh, there we go. There's some leaves. Now I could go in and get these. I could bring a leaf in. I could take that leaf. Now this is mostly run stitches and decorative, so I could easily make this smaller. Now if it was satin stitch, we wouldn't have as much leeway. Then I could, with that selected, you can come in and you can start looking at some of your options in here. You could do a wreath effect. You could place these leaves and put your leaves around. I could copy paste. And I could start making a nice little leaf border. So you can see that you've got lots of options in here. Let's come in here. We could have come in here and picked a template to start putting around this. So you can go, you've got lots of options in Floriani to play. Let's just go with this template, and let's apply this. Now I already had 2 leaves on there, so let's see what we've got. See what it gives us. Because I had that extra leaf. Let's get rid of him. You could pull these in. You could place them different. So you could create a complete wreath border around your monogram. You could pick another design. You could put stars around it. There is so much you can do. And you could start with a basic shape and just cover it up. That's what I would do. I would pull in, if I wanted to do a wreath, I'd pull in a circle. And then I'd set my leaves on that circle around. So you can have a lot of fun with this. Fling repeat wouldn't work good for that. But you could come in here and actually get your circle template. Let's go ahead and take these and let's just delete these and start over. That's always works. Fit to screen. This will be our last one so that this video doesn't last forever here. Let's just go down and select all of our leaves here. Delete, delete. They're all gone. Now what I can do is go ahead and pull one of these leaves in. Pull the same one in we had. I'll make him smaller. A little bit smaller than that. And then I could come in and get my circle template. And again, in here you can decide the height and width that you need that circle. This looks fine. And I can put how many repeats I need. So I can see what's happening here. Oh, that's perfect. Now I'm going to apply. And say, okay, I like that. And now I've created a beautiful leaf border around my lettering. Now in here, my lettering's a little too big for this, so that's okay. I will just, where we just made it bigger, I will just make it smaller. Now I can bring in those corners, or of course you can always go to transform. And you can say this width is a little bit too much. I only want it 3 wide. Make sure your maintain aspect ratio is there so that it will take care of your lettering. Perfect. So there's lots of ways to put outlines around some monograms. Play with your software. That's how we learn, is by playing with it. I hope you have a great week. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a wonderful week.